Hey everybody, it's Christine Parma of ChristineParma.com. Gonna adjust the camera just a little bit there. Okay, so I am back today with your pre-weekend mindset reset. And you know what? Mindset is so important, if not the key, to creating a life you love and also creating a business, if you're in business for yourself, that you love too, and which is thriving. So I have been doing more of these mindset resets because they really, changing my mindset, working on my inner self has changed my life so much. I also want to share some of the tips and strategies that I've learned along the way so that you can apply them in your life and have more happiness, joy, and freedom in your life. Wouldn't that be awesome? Who can't use that? So today's mindset reset is really a reframe around if things aren't going your way, what do you do about that? How do you turn things around? And before I jump into that, for those of you who don't know me, I am Christine Parma. You can find me at ChristineParma.com, and I help mama CEOs build profitable, soul-fulfilling businesses without working 24/7 and giving up the things that matter most to them. So if that resonates with you, you can find out more about what I do over at ChristineParma.com, and be sure to like my Facebook page at Christine Parma Fans so you get notified of the business trainings that I do on that page and the resources I post. Because Facebook says business has to be on a business page. So I'm playing by the rules here. As the mindset reset, how do you turn things around when things aren't going your way? And hi, Laurel, so good to see you. Oh, that reminds me, I need to refresh my page real quick so I can see you guys. I'm totally in the midst of this right now, so it's a very personal topic to me because I'm coming off of being sick 4 weeks. My kids have been sick. My son was really sick for 2 weeks, and I've spent countless hours at the doctor's office, as I should be, trying to see what we can do to make him better. So that was definitely something that's not been going my way this recent past month. Here's some things that I did to really kind of bring myself back and deal with the situation, because I am in business for myself. So, it's easy to get into, it would be easy for me to get into the mindset of, oh my gosh, here are all the things that I haven't finished. All the giant to-do list, and oh my gosh, this is terrible and awful and everything else. Hi, Rodney. Hi, Jason. Good to have you here. So the first thing I did is I had to realign myself. Thank you for the hearts and the likes. I had to realign myself with what it is that I want to feel in my life. Now, this is kind of it's kind of spiritual mindset strategy, but with very practical applications, and I'll tell you why. So when you get caught up in the awfulness of whatever is happening, whatever it is that's not going your way, your energy gets thrown off. You get frustrated, maybe feel overwhelmed, you feel sucked dry by the situation, drained, exhausted, and that can happen. And at the same time, you are always at choice of how you want to think about a situation. You are at choice of the perspective that you take on a situation and how you're aligning your energy. So you really have the choice to align your energy with the awfulness of the situation and the overwhelm and the exhaustion, or to really bring yourself back and think, okay, how, from a positive perspective, how would I want the situation to be? How do I want to feel in general? How do I want to feel about me? Me being in this situation, because a lot of times you can't control what's going on around you, but you can control yourself and your reaction to it. So I really had to bring myself, back to the place. I'm like, okay, number one, I feel like we're going to find a solution to this. We're going to get through this. Number two, I want to enjoy the time. My son's been home, so I can enjoy the extra time with him. I can, maybe it's not feeling the best, but I want to be coming from a place of joy and love and gratitude. This works the same way if you're in business for yourself. So say you've been getting really frustrated that your business isn't going the way that you think you've been working so hard and it's just not taking off, you're not getting clients, you're not making money. You can let yourself stay stuck in that frustration, or you can continue to remind yourself to come back to center, and that you want to serve people and connect with people from a place of joy, love, service, and contribution. And I have been reminded of this so many times on my entrepreneurial journey of I have to remind myself, because I am a very ambitious kind of type A person by nature, a hard driver, and I can get caught up too much in that energy of gotta work, push, nose to the grindstone, gonna push it through and force it to happen, right? And then something happens, and hi Julie, good to have you here. And it reminds me, no, this is not the energy of struggle and pushing and just, trying to force something is not the energy that I want to have around this situation. I want to bring myself back into alignment of joy and attracting that which I really want into my life. Thank you for the like. So the first step is to recalibrate your energy. Bring yourself back into alignment. Not only is it, a kind of a spiritual principle of aligning yourself with that which you want to attract, but it's also a very practical strategy that will help you not feel so drained and frustrated around a situation that maybe you can't do anything about. Thank you for the like. Hi, Chris. Oh, hi, Julie. So the second step is be a detective. When you're in the midst of a situation where things aren't going your way, and maybe they're not going your way in a lot of different ways, be a detective. Have a curious mindset. What is going on here? How did things get off track? Where did they get off track? Was it something that you actually did, a decision you made in your life or in your business that kind of got you off track? Thank you for the like. Or was it, is it kind of more the energetic principle of, things haven't been going your way for a while, and so you get more frustrated and more overwhelmed and more angry, angrier, and I've been in those places too. So don't beat yourself up if that's the place you're in. But remember, you always have a choice of how you want to think and how you want to approach something. And you can make a new choice at any moment. So, hi, Cindy. So number two is be a detective. Try and figure out what decision or where you're off in your thinking and your energy, and write it down so it's really clear to you. Because once you've done that step, you can move on to the third step, which is, so what can I do about it now from a practical standpoint? You have a clearer perspective on the situation, maybe even some detachment from the situation. You're kind of thinking like a scientist or a detective. What can you do about it now? So if you made a boneheaded decision in your life, in your business, made a lot of them, I still make them, you have to think, okay, well, instead of beating myself up, what's a practical step that I can do? A practical step I can take. What can I do about this? So, for example, maybe, if you're in business for yourself, you made a decision to, invest money in a certain program or in Facebook ads or something like that, and you lost a lot of money, or you lost your investment. You can beat yourself up for that, and there's lessons in that. Maybe you kind of go, I'm not going to do that again, but think, maybe why did it go wrong? Maybe it was that it's just not your wheelhouse. It's not you didn't put in enough time or research, or you didn't execute properly on that strategy. From the personal side, you can look at, did I do something that wasn't, the best choice that got me into this bad situation, this bad point in my life? Not everything is going to have a reason, or not everything is going to the reason is not going to be obvious sometimes. I've had just over this past year and a half, I've had so many instances where I needed perspective. I needed time to see what was going on, to see clearly what was going on. And sometimes you have to kind of sit and be okay with being in the unknown. The way I think about it is I kind of put it out there, I put the ask out to the divine, out to the universe, show me what the reason is for this. Show me my next step. Take me on, that journey. And hey, if you can send me an email, make it that obvious, that would be really cool, so I can't really miss it. But also I ask to be made aware that I notice the hints and the things that come up that will help me change my perspective and help me turn around the situation. Laurel says, this is such an important topic. It's hard not to be discouraged sometimes. Yes. It comes down to sometimes forgiving yourself and moving forward. Another great mindset reset, a perspective, beautifully laid out. Thank you so much, Laurel. It is so important. And, for those of you who don't know my story and don't know me, I have, as many people have, I've had some very, very bad times in my life, very dark moments. And sometimes I've let myself get lost in the things not going my way and kind of indulge that part of me that was depressed, that was feeling horrible. And sometimes, I'm not going to tell you what's right for you. I'm offering a different perspective because sometimes through that process of being in the grief, being in the pain, being in the suffering, a lot is learned about yourself, about what you want to choose for your life, and just, also some practical lessons. As this quote comes to mind right now, talking about suffering, the Dalai Lama has said something. It basically is that pain in life is inevitable. Suffering is optional. And I've thought a lot about that because I think it's true. You can't avoid pain in your life. There will be things that upset you, that frustrate you, that don't go your way. But it's your perspective and then how you approach a situation and how you're thinking about it that determines whether you suffer around the situation or that you see it as this is something that happened and I'm choosing to realign myself with how I want to feel. Thank you for the likes and the hearts. So number 4 is if after you've done your detective work and you've maybe gotten some clues about how the situation developed, how you got to that point of things not going your way, and maybe you're stuck in the middle of a giant steaming pile of I don't want this. Is there anything you can do about it? What can you do about changing the situation and turning it around? Is there actually a practical step that you can take? And if you made, like from a business standpoint, is there a different strategy or direction that you need to go with your business? And even, I really, really, really encourage you, even if you're, in business for yourself and you're thinking, from kind of wearing the business hat and trying to think as, an entrepreneur, also really pay attention to the intuition that you get around a business situation, the intuition that you get around your life situations. Because I really, it's my belief that the divine, the universe, God, however you want to call it, guides you and is kind of giving you clues and hints along the way, along what, hints about what your next right move is. Your intuition is, your gut is registering, yes, this is right, or no, this isn't. And things will show up. People will start conversations with you. Certain people will come into your life when you are more aligned in thinking of it from the place of where you want to be in your life instead of where you are right now that maybe isn't what you want. And this has happened to me, very recently, in fact, where we moved, my husband got an expat opportunity. We moved all the way to Vietnam. And it was I was excited about it. I knew it was the right opportunity for us, but from the immediate place of when it was happening, because, I have my own business, and I'm thinking, oh my gosh, this is, how much time is this going to take? I'm going to lose momentum in my business. I don't have all the systems, that it's not on autopilot yet. And I'm going to lose a part of my business, all this hard work that I've put in to my business. And I was really feeling a little bit resentful at some level around the move, and having to, kind of, put in so much energy again for the move and to get going again. And then what I asked, to kind of be shown what the purpose was, what the bigger purpose was for me, as in part of this move. And what came to me, and it took a while, be honest, it took a while, and again, bringing myself back to how I wanted to be in my life and how I wanted my business to align. Julie says, so true, I can feel self-defeating at times, and staying stuck is the worst thing to do. Yes. Thank you so much for the reminder and amazing tips. I so needed to hear this today. Oh, that lights me up. See, and this is part of it. This is part of what came out of moving halfway across the world, was me doing live streams. For one, I didn't do these last year. I was kind of stuck in a little maybe comfort zone. And what also came out of it is guidance that I'm getting around realigning my business, kind of changing the direction a little bit to be more supportive and focused on serving mama CEOs, mompreneurs who are out there doing the juggle. They have the kids, and they're also trying to birth their business baby into the world, or make it grow up nice and healthy, because that's where I am in the journey of my life. I'm a mom and I'm an entrepreneur who is wanting to get my hard work out into the world. And so I feel like the divine guides you, especially if you ask for that guidance and you remain open to getting that guidance. Now, sometimes the guidance may be, you may think, no. I don't want that kind of guidance. That was not the answer I was looking for. And I will tell you, based on my personal experience, that resisting intuition and working against the hints that you get from the universe, my experience has been that the universe taps gently the first time or two, then it kind of like pokes you a little harder, and then if you're stubborn and you don't listen and you just need to learn the lesson the hard way, like I have at some points in my life, gets out the big 2x4 and beats you over the head with it until you finally submit and let go of something that isn't serving you or change direction. I've shared that story at other places, and I'll share it another time. But I've had that really major beating with the 2x4 before, and when I let go of of my fear around the change and my fear or my need to control the situation, my life went in miraculous directions. So, step 4, that kind of got off on a tangent a little bit. Step 4 is, if you're looking at the situation, what is a practical step that you could do to change the situation? Now, you may come up with something, or you may kind of go blank. I would say, encourage you to ask the divine to kind of download an answer to you, or hey, maybe somebody will come and pop in and say, hey, I was thinking about such and such, and here's a suggestion, and that divine inspiration comes through somebody else. The final piece is, there are sometimes, and there are often times that you can't do anything to change a situation. It just happened. It's a pile of crap, that you're stuck in the middle of, or that happened to you, and it just, frankly, sucks. And that is what happens sometimes in business and in life. And again, if there is no, actual action you can take to change a situation, I believe there's always an action or decision that you can make to change how you perceive the situation. Because, I'll just give you a very real example. There are people in life situations, living in poverty, living in places where life is way harder than in the developed world. You know, people with far less money, if you're watching this, you're probably somebody who makes more than $1 a day. There are people that are in horrible situations like that, and there are people that are in those situations, or, you know, what I perceive as a very tough, maybe horrible situation. There are people in those situations that are happy. They are happy regardless. And I noticed this first kind of like smacked me in the face, noticing it when I was traveling through Thailand like over 20 years ago. And what I saw was, you know, people who had, by Western standards, almost nothing. And they were so, they had such a attitude of gratitude and grace and respect when they would interact with me. I can't say that they were happy all the time, but what I saw was a lot of smiles. You know, I saw laughter. I saw respect for other human beings when I was traveling through these areas where people are very, very poor. And I thought, my gosh, they have next to nothing. And they seem to be happy, and they're grateful, and they're gracious. They're not angry or upset. That's not how they're putting themselves and their energy out into the world every day. And that really was a perspective shift for me, you know, and it's not, you know, I'm not by any means perfect. I've had to remind myself, you know, constantly, or I get reminded by circumstances of being grateful for what I do have and the things that go right in my life, which actually just now hit me as that's really the step 5. I think I was missing a step 5, and there it is. It's cultivating an attitude of gratitude. I know it's a platitude, and I just rhymed 3 times there. How cheesy. But cultivating being grateful for what you have, that energy of gratitude, and actually looking at when you're stuck in a giant steaming pile of you don't want it, what are the things that are going right in your life? You know, can you find one thing that is going right that you can say, okay, that's going right. I can think on that thing. I can meditate on that thing that's going right. I can focus on that and feel better, because it's from the place of feeling better, and you'll start to get to the place where you're feeling happy, maybe joyful, and I believe just that simple act of changing your energy will help turn things around. If you do nothing else, if you don't actually do an action, a physical world doing, just the energetic and the mindset change will change things, because if nothing else, it changes how you see things, how you perceive things to be good or bad, you know, or not. So life is perspective, right? I guess I could sum it up as that. Life is perspective. The things that happen in your life, whether you view them as good or bad, going your way or not, is a lot about perspective. And thank you for the like. So I want to wrap it up there. That is your pre-weekend mindset reset. If you're in a funk, if things aren't going your way, watch this video again. You know, pull out the nuggets, because you'll probably hear something a little differently the second or the third time around. And if you know a person or two who's in a funk or maybe having a hard time, why don't you share this video with them? Maybe it will be just the thing that they needed to hear, just like Julie said. This is exactly what I needed to hear today. And you never know that you might be the person who facilitates a change in that person's life just by helping them to take a different perspective and have a different mindset around a situation. So I will wish you an amazing rest of your week and weekend. If you want to know more about me and how I help people build soul-fulfilling, profitable businesses without sacrificing what they love and what matters most to them, you can find me at ChristineParma.com. And if you liked this video, please let me know. If you have comments or questions or something comes up for you, an aha after watching this video, let me know about it. I'd love to hear about it. You can post it in the comments below, and I will reply to you personally. So I wish you amazing success in your business and your life, and that things go your way more often than not. Take care. Bye-bye.